Welcome everyone to Legion Gaming. I'm your host Donnie, and as always, I'm joined by co-host Deucy.
Good evening.
Ooh, I like that one, Deucy. That was a nice little finesse to start the episode here.
I had to throw a spin on it for this episode.
Yeah, that's very, very Vlad of you. So today's topic, to all our friends listening out there, is a fun one. It's Castlevania III: Dracula's Curse from the Nintendo. This was we're celebrating its 35th anniversary because it's our 35th episode, I should say. Sometimes I speak over myself too much. Our 35th episode, and Deucy had a great idea to cover the 35th anniversary of Castlevania III, even though this is technically the Japanese release, December 1989.
And December, so it was like right on the tail end.
It was right at the cusp. Yeah. But we'll take it because it makes sense and we like Castlevania and Castlevania 3. Yeah, it's been a pretty great time, but Deucy, how have you been otherwise?
I've been great, actually. Playing a lot of games recently. Got some to talk about, luckily.
Oh, yeah, maybe we should just dive into that, because I have a few that I've been playing. I mean, granted, seems like we're always playing something. I don't think we've ever done an episode where we're like, I really haven't been playing much this week.
Yeah, it's not like when I don't have a movie to contribute.
Yeah. The only thing I didn't want to talk about before getting into it, actually, is I didn't get to mention this last week's episode, because as of this recording, the Summer Game Show Fest, I think that's what it was called. Summer Game Fest was live streamed yesterday, but this recording will be 2 weeks later, and I didn't get to mention the last episode. But the two most exciting things for me, and I sent them over to you, or at least one of them was, Deucy, was number one for me, Street Fighter 6 Year 2 was announced, so they have a whole season pass, and this year's collection of characters is M. Bison, who looks freaking incredible.
He wasn't in the game to begin with?
No, he's dead in this one. He's dead in Street Fighter 6. Okay. So he's back. And it's great because
it's Zombie Bison?
He's probably like Psycho infused, Psycho resurrected in Bison from what it looks like. But they also have Terry Bogard from SNK from Fatal Fury, which is pretty mind-blowing for a Capcom game to have guest characters. And they also have Mai Shironu, the girl with the we'll call them blessings and the fans.
Oh yeah, everybody infamously loves covering that on YouTube.
They do, yeah. So she's in there, and also Elena. So that's a pretty great crop of characters for me. And then the more important news, though, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is getting a new freaking game.
Hell yes. Sign me up day one. If there's pre-orders with special editions, I'll probably be getting that.
I'm right there. I hope they, I don't know who's going to do it. It's like I love limited games, but I really hate that it takes them like a year and a half to get anything to you.
That's true.
But I hope that there's some sort of edition where, it has like more for coins. I don't know. There's a billion things they could do.
Entire Zords, whatever they want.
I'll buy it. Yeah. I'll buy it. But it's a beat 'em up in the style. It looks like it's using the engine from like Shredder's Revenge or something.
Yeah.
But it has like that pixel beat 'em up look. It looks to be at least 5 players. They haven't announced the Green Ranger yet, but obviously, if you watch the trailer, you can see there's like a green roller coaster cart in one of the stills they have.
Which, first of all, why are they on a roller coaster? That is,
I know. Where are they going? Yeah, what's going on? But it's also pretty zany enough to where it makes sense. It would be like an episode back then, they're having a day at the amusement park, and all of a sudden there's roller coaster hour or something like that.
With everything they showed and all the different ways, the different gameplay that there is, and the different enemies jumping out at you, I'm like, no, that all makes sense.
Yeah, it's great. It was like a sizzle reel almost.
Yeah.
But they showed some first person view with like a Zord fight, which looks like a Mode 7 scaling thing from back in the day.
It reminds me of the beat 'em up I was telling you about that you couldn't get, and then in the Zord mode they did that too.
Yeah. So I just want to call those two out because I forgot to mention that in last week's episode, because that's like fresher last week. But that's definitely the big takeaway I had from Summer Game Fest. Everything else is just kind of whatever. It's cool, and there's a lot of cool stuff, but those two were like the big news splashes. And then tomorrow, as of this recording, I should say, we'll probably talk about it next week, but Xbox has its showcase live streaming tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see what they show, because I think they really need some good stuff, to say the least.
Like you said last week, they dropped the ball a little bit with Senua. So
yeah, Senua was I think that was already a niche game to begin with, and I think it's not doing it fair, because even I saw an article, which granted it's an easy article to pick apart, but they said like 7% of people have finished the first couple chapters of the game or something like that, which means people it's on Game Pass for one thing.
Oh yeah.
So I think a lot of people are probably playing it and realizing it's not their cup of tea, moving on. So I hope that Xbox has something nice to show for the game show service thing, or whatever it's called. I forgot what it's called for Xbox.
Oh yeah.
Xbox Showcase is what it is.
Oh yeah.
So
there were some rumors that they were saying they were highly likely, but I don't think it was for Xbox. I don't remember if it was for Game Fest in general, or like eventually when the PlayStation one starts getting announced. I can't remember what they were.
Well, there's a couple of rumors I've heard that, of course, they're always rumors, right? And it's always one of those things. Like, I think at this point with Microsoft, it could be anything because it just seems like they're just doing a lot of stupid things, like shutting studios down and, buying $70 billion companies and not knowing what to do with them. But the rumors I've heard is that Xbox may debut a portable system that's sort of like the Steam Deck.
Oh,
that's a rumor. Yeah, I don't know where that rumor came from. The other rumor is that they're announcing a Gears of War, a new one. The other one that's pretty much confirmed is there's a new Doom game coming out that's supposed to be like kind of medieval themed, which makes me think of the original Quake because that's what that was supposed to be in a way. And then the other rumor,
what was it? Hexen was kind of
Hexen, like yeah. I wish they would do another Hexen. And the other story I read is that there's a possibility that, and I don't know why this is a thing, but they may remake or remaster Halo 1 again because even though it's a remaster, but it's coming to PS5, which if that happens, it'll be pretty crazy. And to me, that's just as crazy as like Sonic appearing on GameCube back then. But who knows what's happening at this point? You know, like the gaming industry is in a weird spot right now. That's not exactly healthy.
Oh, that was another, the rumor mill for Capcom, I guess you could say, was all the various Resident Evil remakes and remasters that were in the pipeline.
Yeah, I hope they show some more of that. I don't know if they'll show at the Xbox showcase, but I hope Capcom shows more of those because there's rumors, of course, that Code Veronica's next as far as remakes and
Code Veronica and Zero. And then somebody else was even saying maybe 1.
Which I don't think is... No. I mean, I'll play it, but I don't think it's necessary.
No, polish that up a little, but it was amazing from GameCube on. Like.
Yeah, exactly. So in a couple of weeks, when you hear our next episode, which is after this string of recordings, we'll probably be talking about some of the Xbox Showcase stuff, so it'll be really interesting to see what happens tomorrow. And then we'll also have our next crop of episodes with our friend Vito coming. We're finally doing our 2 episodes that we've been kind of hyping for like the last 4 months.
Yeah.
We're doing a Mario Land 2 episode for the Game Boy. And then, of course, the big one that we wanted to celebrate the 30th anniversary for, Super Metroid on Super Nintendo.
I cannot wait for that one. I don't even know what I'm going to do. It's got to be something extra special for that.
We'll figure something out because I think that's going to be a really great episode because we've been waiting for that one. That's like one of the big ones we've talked about since the beginning of this podcast.
Yes.
But yes, with that massive sidebar, Deucy, what have you been playing lately?
Well, now I can't remember. No. So still been playing the sports games when I can. And then I think we showed off in one of the IG posts that the games that we picked up recently. Mm-hmm. One of them was the Castlevanias for the DS that I got.
Yes.
And so I finally started Portrait of Ruin.
Have you played that one before? Or no, that's your first. Oh, that one's really cool because it's you jump into paintings for different levels, and all the levels are pretty varied. Like they're really different than the normal Castlevania fare.
Yeah, I was surprised. I've already been through one painting, and I think I beat the boss of it. So we're trying to get back to the castle, and like I was very impressed and surprised with just how different it was. Like all of a sudden you're in a town instead of in the castle.
That was really the big deal when that came out because I got all of them on the release basically. Like the reason I got a DS, so I remember side story. I remember going to Electronics Boutique and I bought the guy behind the counter convinced me to buy Dawn of Sorrow. Or I was like, no, I should buy it and then I'll get the DS later. So because I was like, I knew I was gonna get the DS, but I was like, I just want to get this now. And he's like, just buy the system. I was like, should I? He's like, you're getting the game. You got to buy it. So I ended up buying Dawn of Sorrow. And then with each Castlevania release, I would buy them on release. But Portrait of Ruin was cool because it's a Metroidvania, but then each of the panes you jump in, it's almost like its own Metroidvania map too. It's really different. It's totally different than any other Castlevania games.
It very much reminded me of, weirdly, Mario 64.
That's exactly what it made me think of.
Because every world is so different in that when you go into a painting. I really also... kind of enjoy the teamwork aspect of it, the buddy system, you might say.
Yeah, because you can tag them out, right?
Yeah,
if I remember. Yeah.
And or you can just have them following you, and then they attack with you. You can stand on their shoulders to get up higher, that sort of thing. Both of them are unique enough that it's not like the same character over and over. I also enjoy that there's like a ton of items to pick up.
Yeah,
I was noticing, but I like how they specifically tailor them to each person so that you're not sifting through a huge menu. You're just like, oh, this person can't wear this because it didn't show up.
Yeah.
This person can. I will go with that. Like that sort of thing makes it very simple. But I've noticed it seems a lot harder than Dawn of Sorrow. and Aria of Sorrow and
well,
all those.
It's funny because I was about to mention, I thought, from what I remember, I thought this one was a little bit easier than Dawn of Sorrow.
I felt like, unless I got to level up a little more, but like I was hitting some rooms where I already felt under-leveled.
Oh, okay.
But also, I was hitting some rooms where I was finding a lot of items and none of them were new weapons.
Well, and I think that's the thing is with some of those DS ones, it always seemed like, it was kind of difficult, but then you find like a gear configuration that will work for you.
Yeah.
And it would carry you through a lot of the game. So I think that's probably what they did with Portrait Room, because I know that one was, I feel like that was the easiest of the 3 on the DS. And that's not to say it's an easy game. It's just like Order of Ecclesia, when you get to that one's really freaking hard.
Oh, great.
I never even finished that one. It got really difficult.
Well, I did beat Dawn of Sorrow at least, so
yeah.
I'm already a leg up on most.
Well, Dawn of Sorrow, you know what the hardest part of Dawn of Sorrow was for me was the tracing of the glyphs to seal bosses.
Yeah.
That was the hardest part because when you kill a boss, you have to pull out your stylus if you don't have it out and then trace it. And it's kind of, I don't want to say it's super precise, but it's not as easy as you would think. And then the later bosses get really more complex with the patterns.
Yeah, you could, in the early bosses, you could use your finger.
Yeah.
And then in the later ones, when you were doing like a figure 8 and with a line and 2 other things through it, you're like, nope, never mind.
And they got rid of that in Portrait of Ruin, if I remember correctly, which is for good reason. So I don't
think there's really any touchscreen stuff really needed in that.
No,
one.
I think it's just your map for the most part. Maybe inventory, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that Portrait of Ruin, it's a really good one. It's one of the weirder Castlevania games, but it's really good.
It was brought on by a discovery on YouTube, and I told you to probably get it, was they made Castlevania 1 into a Metroidvania.
Yeah, some ROM hacker.
And it looks amazing. Like, it's not just sort of like half thrown together. It looks very like thorough.
Mm.
And that just got me wanting to play more Castlevania Metroidvanias. So I also was like, oh, maybe I'll start up Symphony of the Night for like the 15th time and never finish it. And you told me about the little 2-pack.
Yeah, Castlevania Requiem on PS4.
Yeah,
immediately.
I immediately purchased that, but I haven't started either one of those yet.
Well, it's funny because I was texting you how it's always on sale for like $4 or $5.
Yeah.
And I already owned it because I got it when it came out. And it's a combo pack of Castlevania Symphony of the Night and then Castlevania Rondo of Blood, which was only released in Japan on the Turbo Duo, which is like the PC Engine Duo, which is basically the TurboGrafx CD in Japan.
Oh, wow.
So we never got it until really the PSP game. And it's funny because I was wondering why they never ported Symphony of the Night or Rondo of Blood to Switch or this collection. And apparently it's because these are based on the Dracula X Chronicles on PSP, which is a remake of Rondo of Blood, but it included ports of Symphony of the Night and the OG Rondo of Blood. So because the ports on PS4 are based on that, then I guess Sony technically has exclusivity with it, which is interesting. Yeah. Because I was like, it's such a no-brainer to have Symphony of the Night on Switch. Like, I would buy it again. I've bought it every single time it's been on sale.
Yeah, there was the collection of Game Boy Advance ones. I'm surprised they haven't done the collection of DS ones yet. But, like, Symphony of the Night is the granddaddy of all Metroidvanias.
It really is.
Like,
yeah, it's only available. You could play it backwards compatible on Series X now because it's the 360 version.
I do have that version too.
Yeah, me too. I got that when it came out. That was like when we were still using Microsoft points, which is funny.
Yeah.
It was like 800 points, which is like $10 back then, which is a wild thing to think that they had like currency.
Yeah. That never made sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad you're into it, but it's also probably because we're talking about Castlevania 3 today as well. Yeah.
Which I played a lot of. I never really played much of Castlevania 3 back in the day, or even on the collections that have been out, but I got into it more in this one, which we'll talk about. And lastly, I've been playing Outer Worlds. I'm so close to the end.
I figured you had to be because it's like one of those, what was that game you were playing, Close to the Sun?
Yeah.
Except that was like a short game. This is ironic because now you've put all this time with Outer Worlds and it's actually a lengthy game.
So on the little PS5 home screen, they have the little thing in the corner that tells you your hours in the game and stuff. And I think I'm up around like 58 or 59.
That would make sense.
And
that jives.
It's kind of ironic because this, when you look at it, is probably one of the shortest Obsidian / Bethesda type games. It's not made by Bethesda, but it's, like those. It's definitely one of the shortest. And yet I'm putting in as much time as I would on any of the Fallouts or anything.
Yeah.
And so I got through the main story, and I'm right at the part where, every game now has a point of no return, and they warn you, luckily. So before I went and did that, I was like, I have one more DLC pack that I want to get through. And I started it up, and you go to a completely different planet that wasn't even on the map yet, which is cool. And you never have to leave that planet. You go into this like presidential suite of a hotel, and all of your characters go into that suite with you. It's like as if you were entering and leaving your ship.
Yeah, like you're preparing that's like your new hub almost.
Yeah, that's your new home base. And so everything that you have to do in this is now centered around this hotel and the outlying lands. But it's a lot longer than the first DLC I did. So now I'm like, I used to be able to see the finish line, and suddenly that got stretched out over the horizon. And I was like, crap.
Well, but it's more game for you, though.
It's so much fun. This is like so different than what I've been playing. You get this like giant magnifying glass that talks with like an AI voice, and it's a murder mystery that you have to solve about this. She's they don't call them movies, but it's basically a movie star that has passed away, and you have to figure out like how was she murdered and all that stuff. And there's a lot more side missions in this one than there was in the original DLC, in the first DLC that I played, where that one was pretty straightforward. There was only like one extra side mission that I could remember doing. That one also involved the other planets in the game. You had to travel back and forth to a couple things. Whereas this one is, like I said, all self-contained, and it should be pretty fun. It's got kind of a, not invasion of the body snatchers, but there's this like parasite thing that's attaching to people, and they all of a sudden get like big Joker grins.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. And that, I don't even know if that has anything to do with the murder mystery I'm trying to solve. That's just also happening at this area that I'm doing. And so
like you might have to be concerned about that later.
Yeah. So, once I finish all that, I've heard that the ending changes a little if you do both DLCs and then the main story.
Oh, that's surprising. Yeah.
So I want to get those out of the way, and then finally do that last mission.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I should say I'm surprised you put so much time on Outer Worlds, but I figure it's one of those games that, when it hooks you specifically, you usually dive into a game pretty thoroughly when it hooks you in.
Yeah, especially games like this, like Fallout 4, Skyrim, I did for a while too.
Yeah, and then you add this Firefly flair to it. I think that's it for you.
Yeah, I was done.
Yeah. For what I've been playing, let's see, I restarted the Mad Max game. I haven't played it in like 5 or 6 years. Because I got on PS4 and it was like something I got cheap and I just didn't stick to it. And then, Furiosa came out, the movie, and I've heard it's pretty good, even though, many might consider it like a box office bomb, which is funny to me.
I mean, I think all of them have been.
It seems like anything that's not MCU level money is a failure.
Yeah. Supposedly nothing is worth it at the theaters anymore.
Which is unbelievable. But anyway, like I decided to get back into Mad Max because I'd recently watched a video about it too. And then there was also some discourse online because was it George R. Mount? No, the director for Mad Max, George.
Oh shoot,
I forgot his last name.
Yeah,
which is awful. But anyway, he was talking about how he wishes like Hideo Kojima could make like a Mad Max game, and that prompted one of the developers to pipe in. He's like, no, like we made a really good game. The problem is that the publisher made us release it the same day as Metal Gear Solid 5, so this game had no chance of succeeding.
Oh yeah.
Plus, there's a bunch of like developer publisher issues that kind of took a hit with the game because it was I think it was WB, which WB doesn't make good decisions.
They've had a terrible track record.
For
years now.
Yeah, so I figured I'll try the game out because I also had the digital version on the Xbox, and on Series X it has the FPS boost, so it runs really good at 60 frames a second and it looks really good. And it's basically like Arkham in a desert dystopic world with twisted metal. It's really cool so far.
Whoa.
Yeah, so like I'm only a couple hours in, and you play as Max, and your car gets stolen, and then the first mission is you gain basically like a chassis of like with 4 wheels on it. You drive this thing around, and the second main mission is you have to get a body for the car because there's a whole car customization angle to it where
it's nuts and bolts, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty much really what it is. Yeah. And then you could put like different battering rams on there. There's a harpoon, so you could pull down scarecrows, like the little effigies that the raiders and whatnot have like around their areas. Because each sort of section of the desert or wasteland is like not managed. It's like run by a certain gang member or whatever. So it's just like Arkham or Shadow Mordor, where it's like you have to, or Far Cry even, where you have to like destroy certain outposts and whatnot and take over them, and then the influence of the bad guy goes down, you go attack him kind of thing. So it's got that gameplay loop and the combat of Arkham where it's like single button taps with dynamic combos. And
do they have reversals and stuff?
They do with Y.
Nice.
So it's a really cool game. And I'd say, it's like I know a lot of people didn't give it much of a chance. I heard how good it was. I just really never dedicated time to it. But I love the theme, aesthetic, and the premise of it. Like the car combat's pretty freaking cool because you just like see people driving around and they'll try attacking you. You can ram them, or you can shoot their gas tanks in the back. It's really freaking cool. It's a pretty interesting game. And I understand that like it's probably just like every other Far Cry open world game, but a lot of these games they'll only hook you depending on their theme and what the story is. Like the story is just whatever. Like so far, Max got his car stolen. He's out to get it back. That's all you really need for this, So it's been pretty fun. I'll see if I stick to that because there's a lot of games I still have to finish, like Paper Mario 1,000 Year Door. I'm still trying to get through that.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. And the other game that I played because Capcom kind of did something surprising this week. They released all 5 Mega Man Game Boy games on the Game Boy Switch app, which is really cool. So I decided to play Mega Man 2, which I always forget, and I asked you a billion times, but did you own 2 and 3 or just 2? Which one did you own back in the day?
Back in the day, 2 and 3.
2 and 3. So I borrowed both of them, sure. But I played 2 for the first time in like 30 years again. I don't know how long it's been since I borrowed it from you. And I beat it while watching, I love that show, Wings, from the 90s.
Hell yeah.
I revisit a lot.
Yeah.
I genuinely love that show. It's really great. So about, 2 episodes, I finished Mega Man 2 on Game Boy. And it's really cool. It's, the music's a lot different than Mega Man 2 on, Nintendo.
Oh, yeah.
It still sounds okay. Like, it's not that level of quality as far as, like, melodies and everything. But it sounds good enough. I think the graphics are pretty good for a Mega Man Game Boy game from, I'd imagine, 1990-ish, 1991.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But, it's an easier game.
Oh,
it's definitely an
easier
game.
It was 92.
92? Because this is a combo of, like, 2 and 3 is what it is. Like, the first 4 bosses are from Mega Man 2 and the last 4 are from Mega Man 3.
Yep. And I sort my Switch Online app collections by year, by release.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
There you go.
So like the first one was 91, and then that was weirdly 2 and 3 were 92.
Oh, that's really surprising. I guess one had to be like the beginning of the year and the other was towards the end.
Must
or something.
have been because 3, like you said, is the other half of the Mega Man 3 bosses that they didn't use, and then some of the Mega Man 4 ones.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm excited to check out 3 and especially 4 and 5 because I never played those. And it's very surprising they released it because I think most of these are really, really expensive. There's a couple, was it 5 that's like insanely up there? Not 5, insanely, but it's pretty up there.
5 is probably the most expensive. That's the one I got recently. And then 4 isn't as expensive, but I've also not seen it around.
I never see that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. We talk about this sometimes on this podcast when we do GameStops and whatever, like, some games that catch your eye, you'll notice, and these like somehow we've never seen them anywhere. This is something like you're probably bought on eBay for some insane amount or something. But it just reminded me of the time, you remember like way back in the day when the first Mega Man Anniversary Collection came out, Capcom had announced that there was going to be like a Game Boy Advance collection of the Game Boy games coming out. Like I remember going to EB Games and asking like every other time I was visiting, they're like, hey, is there a release date for this yet? Like I don't know if I had it pre-ordered either. I don't know if you could do that back then. But eventually it just got canceled. They never made a collection for the Game Boy ones. So the Game Boy ones have really just been lost to time.
That was during the purge of Mega Man from Capcom. Like, Mega Man Legends 3 got canceled.
That's right.
There was that collection for Game Boy. And then there was, like, going to be a different game type. I forgot what it was. But that one got canceled as well, too.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about there was, like, a purge of Mega Man at a certain time for whatever reason. Because Capcom was transitioning whatever the hell they were focusing on. But it's really cool. It's all 5 are available on the Switch app now. So if you want to check them out and, get your little bit of a Mega Man fix. Like, they aren't... It's hard now because back then you got these because they were poorer versions of Mega Man and they were pretty good. But now it's like you have the entire Mega Man collection from the Nintendo era, basically the PS2, available on the Switch and other systems. So it's probably a little bit harder to go back to the Game Boy ones. But nonetheless, they're still cool because... it's a piece of Mega Man history and it's cool how they kind of combine 2 games in one for each of them.
And they're not out of the ordinary. Like, it's not like a Mega Man X7 type of game over here where they tried to reinvent the wheel. And like we said, it's the first time they've all been together and this readily available. Like, they weren't even available, I don't think, in game shops, in the virtual console stores.
I have to look because I heard something that might have been for 3DS or I don't remember. I have to look it up. By the way, like, it doesn't matter. It's like they were just not easily available anywhere. Like, they were really hard to come by in general. Like, you could really just get the cart, and it's like I can't imagine most people would get a DS just to play Mega Man Game Boy games. Plus, I'd imagine most people didn't even know they were there.
Yeah.
Like, you probably wouldn't buy them, But they're fun games. Like, they play like Mega Man. They're just condensed, and, this one was Mega Man 2 was definitely a lot easier because I finished in about 40 minutes because a lot of the bosses aren't that difficult. That's really what it was.
Oh yeah, that one I could play and beat in one sitting like constantly.
Yeah.
3 was the one that tripped me up.
It's a nice brief one. If you want to get like a little fix for a game, that's it. It's a good one. Yeah. So check those out. I'd say they're worth it. I don't know if we'll ever do episodes on them, but maybe it might be kind of fun to do that.
Maybe all together in one.
Yeah, like a bundle. Yeah, for sure. A bundle. What am I saying? an episode.
Like a collection.
A collection of sorts. Yeah.
No, I want to get into those too, but like I had some other stuff to play, you know, to prep for the last couple episodes.
Yeah,
so.
We got a lot. There's never enough stuff to play these days. There's just not enough time, as always. Yeah. All right, Deucy. Well, I guess we'll get to our main event in Transylvania with Castlevania III. All right, Deucy, we're talking Castlevania III, Dracula's Curse on the Nintendo. So today we're celebrating the 35th anniversary, loosely, because it's our 35th episode. So this was originally released December 22nd, 1989. So this was right before Christmas.
Yeah.
1989 in Japan, and then we got the U.S. version in September 1990. So this series, Deucy, so this was the first Castlevania I had played, but what history, what have you played this one, or had you played any of the Castlevanias back in the day?
So did you own this one?
I did.
Okay. I must have seen it at your house, and maybe we played it, or I watched you play it, because I don't remember it as well as Castlevania 1.
Oh, really? You don't remember as well as 1?
Yeah,
wow.
One I think I played. I don't remember how I played it back then. I don't know if somebody at school had it and I borrowed it, but I definitely played that one a lot more. And then when collections started coming out, I always intended to like play through 1 and then maybe skip 2
yeah.
and then play 3. And I would always get stuck on 1 and then I would never jump into 3.
Yeah, these games are not easy.
Yeah. So, like, I think my interest really peaked in it when Bloodstained came out. And they
that's pretty surprising because that's like 2017-ish. That's when it hits you, yeah.
So that's when I learned about Castlevania 3 having the additional characters that you could swap into, which up until that point I didn't even know was a thing. And then when I saw that Bloodstained had taken that and kind of ran with it, I was like, oh, I should really try this out on the original, like see the homage that they were paying.
Yeah.
And then that Netflix show came out. And
that show is so freaking good.
I've only seen the first season, but I know that the first season is basically this story.
Yeah, I'm on season 3 now. I still have to finish it because they have season 4, I believe, right now.
Wow.
That's available. Yeah, it's surprising it's gone that long. And also, I think they have another series coming out soon too. But yeah, it really just takes Castlevania 3 and, you know, blows the story out over a season or two. It's really freaking good. And then I think season 3 starts to get into Symphony of the Night, which is even better.
Oh, cool.
So it's great. But so for this game, for me, it's funny. Like, this is one of those core memories I have because I remember seeing that. So my dad's coworker's son, he was one of my friends. His name was, I remember his name was Eddie. I remember like we were at his house or like we were leaving his house or something. And then like for some reason, we were on the same age. I was like 6 or 7 at this time. He's like, hey, I got a new game. Let me show you. And I remember he brought this out because I was like outside in the car and he brought it out to the car for some reason. Like he had to show me then and there.
You're like, I can't play this.
Yeah. And I just remember the cover being so freaking awesome because
yeah.
This is a Tom Dubois cover. He's an amazing artist for Konami and like just games and drum back then. Like he does some really amazing art. And I just remember that you know, the front cover art of, you know, I know who anyone was, but I saw like the guy with the whip and a skeleton with a bone in his hand swinging down. Like everything just looked like there was a lot of movement there. And I just was like, oh, what is this? And he told me Castlevania. I just remember after that, I was trying to tell my dad to get it for me. And we went to a Long's drugstore, which I don't know, are they still around even? Or like, I think they're all like CVS now or something.
Yeah, they turned into CVS.
Right? So I went there and they sold video games back then, which is funny. So I remember looking in the case and I got Castlevania 3 and my dad got Top Gun, which is funny, the second mission.
Oh.
So I got both of those at once.
Whoa.
And I was so freaking excited to play Castlevania 3. And yeah, I'm really excited you picked this one because I would love to cover Castlevania 3. And I think it's great we're doing an episode on it. So it's one of my fondest games. I have a lot of fond memories for it.
I knew, like, when I saw, because I just looked up a list of games that were turning 35.
Yeah.
And then when I saw this was on there, I was like, oh, wait, you had that as your number 1.
Yeah, this is my favorite NES game of all time. This was my number 1 because of, the core memories with it and just the music, the everything about this game, it's really good. Except for the difficulty, which we'll get into. This game's not without its issues. Like I'm speaking about it like it's the most perfect game in existence for Nintendo, but there's some issues with it. But it's just as a kid, this was as good as it got for me back then. But the series history was obviously before that, because this is the third game in the series, and previous to this, I never played Castlevania 1 and 2. So Castlevania 1 was actually released in 1986, which is crazy to think about. It's a 39-year-old game, like almost as old as us, really. Mm-hmm. It was released on the Famicom Disk System, which is basically it was like an add-on system for the Famicom in Japan. It was like an extra hardware expansion, so music sounded better. They were on little diskettes, like floppy disks. So it was released.
Did it have a save on there too?
It did. Yeah. A lot of Famicom Disk System games had saves on them, yeah.
God, that would have helped.
I know. Especially with this game, yeah. In Japan, this game is known as Akumajo, which means, or it was called Akumaju Dracula, which is sort of a rough translation of castle or demon castle, which is perfectly appropriate. And the U.S. version for Castlevania 1 wouldn't be released until 1987. In that game, you play as Simon Belmont, who's actually a descendant of vampire hunters called the Belmont clan, which is related to this game because this takes place 100 years after, it takes place 215 years before the first Castlevania with Castlevania 3. So this is sort of a prequel to Castlevania 1. And then Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, was released a year later in 1987 in Japan, and we got it in the US in December 1988. So it's almost 2 full years before we got Castlevania 3. And Simon's Quest is a direct sequel to the first game. Like, it takes place 7 years after the first one. Simon visits his family grave, and then there's he encounters a woman who tells him that he's been cursed, which is a big sort of hanging thing of the game where, it turns to night, and Simon says what he says. He says, what a terrible night for a curse.
Oh, yeah.
So you watch this little cutscene that transitions to night. This game is it's the polar opposite of the first game. The first game is like a side-scrolling, kind of platformer action game with all these, mummies, Frankenstein monsters. 2 is like an RPG that would kind of influence Symphony of the Night. It's a totally different game than anything else in the series up to this point.
But the most obscure type of RPG, it's like Zelda 2.
It is. That's the closest parallel to, as you could say, it's like Zelda 2. There's the next EXP system, so you get experience for killing enemies, you pick up parts, and then it's non-linear, so it's you can kind of go back and forth wherever you want, and the whole point of the game is you're collecting 5 parts of Dracula so that you can basically kill him again and take this curse off of you.
And didn't it have you had to get items, like you said, it was like a Metroidvania where you had to get items to progress, but they didn't tell you which items you needed, where they were. Wasn't there some townsfolk that were openly out to...
They were totally misdirecting you.
Yeah.
Whether it was a translation issue or whatever the case, they would just totally misguide you.
Yeah.
And there's, one of the big jokes, and it happens, is it in Bloodstained where they do the same, they do sort of an homage to this, where in Castlevania 2, how you get one of the parts of Dracula is you find this wall and you crouch in the corner of it and then tornado swings you. I think that's in Bloodstained, right?
Oh, I can't remember.
Or it was another game. Maybe it was in Fernax. I think it was in Fernax, actually. That's another Simon's Quest kind of homage game. That one's really cool. It's really hard, though. But I think Infernax did, actually. I'm confusing the two. But, that game isn't so fondly loved, especially back then. A lot of people just thought it was too different. It was really weird. Like you said, it was like Zelda 2. So Castlevania 3 was released, and this brought the series back to what it was and what people loved, which was that side-scrolling action game. And this one kind of blows everything up to 11 in more ways than one, which we'll get into. But the story premise for this one is that in 1476, which again, it's 215 years before Castlevania 1, because in this world, Dracula comes back every 100 years. So that means some descendant of the Belmont clan has to go back to his castle, wherever it pops up, and kill him. And
take a hint.
Yeah, seriously. It's there has to be some way to just get rid of Dracula. He comes back every century. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Nonetheless, Dracula is back, and he sends his monsters to destroy parts of Europe with his own intent is to exterminate mankind. He just wants to destroy everyone in the world, and he's starting with Europe because this game takes place in Wallachia, which is sort of a historical geographical location of modern-day Romania, because this game also hangs its hat on Transylvania, which is the big gimmick here. And in this world, Trevor Belmont, who's the star of this game, he's out to basically go kill Dracula because in this world as well, the Belmont clan was sort of exiled because they were a clan of vampire hunters and they had these powers and everyone was just afraid of them, there was witchcraft, so they banished them.
It's come on, fools! I'm the only one saving you out there.
Yeah. So then it's like, all right, then now they call for help. They're like, hey, we really need you here. We exiled you from our town, but we really need you to kill Dracula again, just like your family's done for the last several hundred years or every 100 years, And then in the story, Trevor, and this game's really cool for this too, because it has there's no real cutscenes with text in between it, really. It's just sort of like these, little in between cutscenes.
Yeah, only when you, so far that I've noticed, only when you like find a new person,
a
new partner.
Yeah, and they just ask you if you want to join, but really, like, you meet 3 other characters in here, and you can also play as them. There's a Sypha Belnatus, I think it's pronounced. Grant Danasty, which is a hilarious name. It's literally spelled Danasty, like Danasty.
Yeah.
And Alucard, who's Dracula's son. So Trevor meets all these people throughout his journey to go kill Dracula, and then they all join him. Realistically, like, in this game, which we'll get to, is that you can only have one partner at a time. But in the story, like, he meets all of his friends to bring with him to go kill Dracula.
That got me.
Yeah, it really is.
Because, like I said, I played Bloodstained, and in that one, you get to keep everybody, and you switch among them as if it was like Ninja Turtles 1.
Yeah.
And in this one, no such luck.
No, it's a lot different. But at the same time, like, it was 1990, and it's a pretty cool feature to have.
Yeah.
So that's really this backstory of Castlevania 3, because from here on, like, the series does get really muddy with its timelines, and it's, where things happen and how things are placed. Because, like, when Symphony of the Night's introduced, it kind of throws a wrench in some of the earlier Castlevanias as far as story and lore. So this is like, everything we say here is really just take it with a grain of salt, because a lot of it's probably still pertinent to the Castlevania saga. It may not be totally accurate, and there's probably going to be things that it interferes with and crosses that don't make any sense.
I've read some wiki, like, Castlevania specific fandom things, and all the games are kind of spaced far enough apart that they don't really interfere with each other too much. You just have to sort of accept that, oh, this happened. Even if later games that were made earlier don't reference it, at least you know that it happened. And I'd say this timeline makes a lot more sense than Zelda timelines.
I would say so. Yeah, because I think here it's really like, and I'll use this narrative excuse. I could say that because everything happens over such a long time frame, like 100 years, 150, 200, I'm going to use the excuse that maybe the people passing down these tales across time maybe embellished, some facts get lost in the mud,
Didn't even bother writing it down.
Yeah, but it's like, really, if you're playing Castlevania, you likely aren't playing it for everything that's involved in the story. That's probably a big part of it. But you're also not going to go back to look at all the history and be like, hey, this happened in Castlevania 2, but this, Castlevania 4 says it happened this way,
It's funny that, like, by the time you get to the advanced ones and stuff, like Aria of Sorrow and Dawn, those are like in the 2000s.
Yeah, those are more modernized. Yeah. So by then, like, if this is like 1400s, there's 600 years of history. There's going to be some things that aren't going to be told that aren't totally the truth or match up with things from back then.
Yeah.
Just like in real life, it's fine. So that's why we give that sort of note, because it's like, up to Castlevania 3, things were consistent because there's only 3 games. But, in 35, 36 years, a lot's happened. So the development of this game, there's not a whole lot, because it's like, it's an older game. It's really just, the general gist here is like they wanted to go back to what made the series successful with Castlevania 1. I don't know if Castlevania 2 really damaged the series' reputation or anything, but it just seems like that it wasn't as well received as they thought it would be. And I do give them props, because at least with some sort of experimentation, like, I know people look back on Castlevania 2 more fondly now, but I could totally understand, like, if you're a big fan of Castlevania 1 back then, you got Castlevania 2, much like Zelda 2. Mm-hmm. You're like, what the hell is this? Or even Mario 2. Sequels were a really, really weird thing back then. And from the first game to the sequel, sometimes they would just totally make it something that was totally unrelated, and it worked, and sometimes it didn't.
Yeah, those would not have made our episode about the sequels. Like, we would have to do a separate one based on, like, sequels that totally jumped the track.
Yeah, I thought about that too, actually. Like, sequels that weren't, you wouldn't guess they're sequels. They just totally throw the series on their head.
Yeah.
I think that'd be kind of a fun thing to do. Yeah. In Japan, this game is known as Akumaju Densetsu, which is that's translated to roughly legend, tradition, or folklore. So it's like Legend of Castlevania, which makes sense. It's kind of like a prequel to the first game. And the Japanese version uses a VRC6 coprocessor chip, which added 3 more sound channels. So I'll include them here, but the soundtrack between the NES version and the Famicom version are pretty different. I think I prefer the NES one because I grew up with it, but the Famicom one sounds a lot more vibrant and has more depth because there's more channels. There's 8 channels instead of the standard like five
and
or six.
This is for Castlevania 3, right?
Castlevania 3 specifically.
It's kind of like a tradition. Like they've been doing that since the first one.
Yeah. Same with Zelda. Even has better music on the Famicom Disk System version. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll include the Famicom Disk System version of Castlevania 3 here, so you can hear the difference. And then here's where I'll inject the NES version just so you can hear the differences between them. They're basically the same track, but you'll be able to hear the depth of the Famicom version versus this version.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Deucy. So this one actually has roots in actual Dracula and actual history, which is interesting. This is the first game in the series to do so. So they've actually tried to establish a connection between Dracula and the real life Vlad the Impaler, known as Vlad III of Wallachia. His father was Vlad Dracul, which is a great name to pronounce. Dracul. And Vlad III, he ruled Wallachia in the 1400s, and he was considered like a Romanian national hero, which is interesting. So they tried to tie it together with like Bram Stoker's Dracula as well, the novel. So it's kind of fun that they, for some reason, they're like, yeah, let's tie it to real life lore for whatever reason, instead of creating our own. And then also on top of that, the reason we didn't get the same music is because, our version of the cartridges couldn't support external sound chips, so they used like an alternate chip. It's called the MMC5, which it's still a really expensive chip, but it's not quite as versatile and doesn't have as many channels as the that VRC6 chip on the Japan version. And then on top of that, it only had 1 extra kilobyte of RAM. Can you I tried a kilobyte. We've talked about this in other episodes as well, where it's like I just think about storage space and just how technology advances. Like we're talking about games that are like 100 gigs. Like the big advancement in 1989 is what we'll call it, was the expansion of 1 kilobyte of RAM, a kilobyte.
I just downloaded F124 and that was like 74 gigabytes.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like, it just blows my mind. Like the older I get, like I just look back at like what things were as far as like technological enhancements of the day and how expensive that was, and like where we are today. So anytime I see something like this, it just kills me. It just makes me laugh. And then what that meant, since the hardware wasn't supported, the composer Yoshinori Sasaki had to change the music to fit the NES standard 5-channel audio. So they had to take the this robust 8-channel audio and condense it to the NES's 5 channels. So that's where you can hear like drastic difference between the two.
It's good that they got the same guy. If anybody could do it, he could probably still like chop something off and say, this is still what I envisioned.
Yeah, and you can tell like the music for in itself, it's like it's pretty close to each other between the two versions. It's just one sounds more full because there's more channels and more instruments to include on there.
And I'd say this is still a really good soundtrack for Nintendo. Like
100%. It's one. I'd say it's one of the best on the Nintendo,
especially for the time of release. Like it was right around the same time as Mega Man 2 and Mega Man 3. So like all of those were kind of working with the same setbacks, you might say, but still making amazing stuff.
Yeah, I think that's when like that peak was happening with like Nintendo soundtracks, because there's so many notable ones on there. But it feels like there's like an era when they really figured out how to work the sound chips, right? And like there was just one soundtrack after another that was just like one more memorable than the other.
One thing I didn't bring up last week when we were talking about Flintstones was that it didn't really have great. I mean, it had an okay soundtrack. It definitely sounded like the cartoon, but it was kind of repetitive. It didn't sound like they had too much space to work with a longer track, so they just looped it.
I was about to say it's a simple loop.
And considering that it came out after all of these, it's like, come on, guys, what happened?
It's right. It's like even if you were to compare Flintstones to this, it's just night and day as far as like soundtrack, and like these sound like full songs and the melodies are just freaking incredible. Like I can't talk enough about how much I love the soundtrack on this game. The next thing we'll get into are some big differences between the Japanese version of the game and the U.S. And this is really where a lot of the changes in the game, I'd say for the worst for the most part, because there's some big differences. So some of the bigger ones, Grant in this game, he's one of the characters you can unlock to play as. In the Japanese version, he throws daggers instead of having like a stabbing motion. Yeah. So in the U.S. version, he's got like a stubby dagger. It's literally like a tiny dagger because he's kind of like a pirate. And it's just like you have to be really close to people to stab them. And he can use a sub weapon here. He can use the throwing daggers, which you need hearts because you need ammo for that. And I believe he can use the axe.
Yeah.
So I don't know why that decision was made. It's really interesting that like he throws weapons in Japanese version, but for us we got a stabby motion that's more.
So in the Japanese one, he's throwing a dagger, but that doesn't cost hearts.
No, that's just a standard weapon.
Oh man, that would be so good. But he still gets to use the axe.
No, he can't use any sub weapons. I don't think at all.
In Japan?
I think he can't use sub. I think that's the trade off is he can't use it, or maybe he can use the axe. You might be right. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's only the axe, not the throwing dagger, because he
already has that. Yeah.
And the other one is that this is kind of a smaller deal, but the Japanese game uses the original font from the original Castlevania game, and they made a new font for the US one. I don't know why that was. Maybe it's just it made sense at the time.
That's how they saved some space here and there.
Yeah. Trevor was known as Ralph C. Belmondo.
Oh my God.
That's a hell of a name, isn't it?
Sounds like the sitcom version of Castlevania.
Yeah, on ABC.
Ralph Cramden Belmondo.
Belmondo. It just sounds like such a ridiculous name. I thought that was a fun one. Another thing, this is really the biggest one here that kills me. Some enemies do less damage in the Japanese version, and it's also just less difficult because it's widely believed that the US version was made more difficult to combat rentals because in like the 80s and 90s, I think it was in the 80s, I forgot when exactly, but Nintendo got in a lawsuit with like Blockbuster, and I don't know if it was anyone else, it might have been largely Blockbuster, about the rental of video games. Nintendo, in an attempt to sort of curb people from beating their games within a 3-day rental period, decided to make some of their games more difficult. And this is a great example of that because it's ridiculous. It's like some enemies do more damage, enemies attacks do different things in the Japanese version, and then all enemies, I think like some of the animations look different. Like, the jumping flea man, like he looks like a goblin in the Japanese version. And then in addition to that, the US version, some enemies do different damage and they do more damage. Whereas in the Japanese version, most enemies do the same damage, like across the board. So like, like some enemies might do 2 hit points, some might do 3.
Yeah.
But in the US version, all of them do the same. It's always like 3 or 4, whatever. And then in the later levels, damage is doubled.
Yeah, I noticed that. And I didn't know why exactly, but like in the early levels, I wasn't getting hit that much. And then when I did, I was like, oh, 'tis but a scratch.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I got hit by one little thing. It looked smaller than most enemies. And all of a sudden like 6 little bars were gone. I was like,
it's crazy how much damage it does.
What in the hell, guys?
Yeah. So that's what sucks. It's like, I really love this game, but it absolutely sucks that they made it purposely more difficult. Like even the last boss, you ramp that up because the whole last level is a huge endurance run to begin with. And the last boss is made more difficult because he has like a laser beam attack and he does it more frequently in the US version and also has a bigger area of effect. So this game, they really just made it to be pure hell for you. Like, they just wanted to make you regret renting this. And it's almost like to its detriment because I think like, I would think as a kid, there gets to a point where it's like, all right, this is too hard. Why would I buy this?
Yeah.
Like, why would I try to suffer through this kind of thing, right? There's a billion other games I could buy.
I never bought Lion King.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stuck on the second level. Never want to play this again.
Yeah, exactly. I bought that way later in life, but I was like, I don't want to buy this to suffer through it.
Yeah.
So it sucks that they did that because I feel like that really hurts the game. Like, I played the Japanese version, which we'll kind of talk into, but it's a lot easier. Like, I got to like the 5th level in a matter of like half an hour. And, I died a few times through there and whatnot, but it was not the hellacious time I had with the US version. In addition to that, the only difference really, because at this time as well, Nintendo was very much against like religious imagery in their games, which made sense. Like they were very kid-friendly, family-friendly. But a lot of the religious imagery in this game didn't get changed because there's still like crosses everywhere. There's, like your boomerang thing looks like a cross. The only thing they changed, which is weird, is that at the beginning of the game, like, when you're kneeling in front of that giant cross, Japanese version has like a little shimmer on the cross, and they took that out of the US version for whatever reason.
But I don't know what that means. Cross?
Yeah, it's still a cross.
So they just don't want attention drawn to it.
Yeah, it's really it's just such a bizarre decision because
that's just a letter T. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and they did other things like there's some nude statues in the Japanese version. Like there's statues that they're like marble, so you can't really see anything.
Yeah,
right. But they put clothes on them on the US version. It's just it's hard. It's like it's like the U.S. version is just way difficult, and it's just there's some really weird choices on that game.
Yeah.
So for reviews, Deucy, this is a really early game, so there's only a couple of reviews I was able to get here, and actually I was surprised that all of them reviewed it: GamePro, EGM, and Nintendo Power. So GamePro reviewed it in October 1990. This was like their Halloween themed issue. It was issue 15. Graphics, they gave 5. They gave a sound 4. They gave gameplay 5, fun factor 5, and challenge 5. They essentially said that the game looks, sounds, plays identical to its predecessors, but enjoyed the enemy variety and new playable characters and the branching paths. And they really didn't have anything bad to say. Like, they loved it overall. I'm surprised they didn't mention the difficulty, but
right?
Maybe they're an adult and maybe they could deal with it. I have no idea. Even though I'm an adult and can barely deal with it now, you know? EGM. This one was funny because it's hard when these early issues are around because it's hard to find when exactly they review certain games, so I have to dig through sometimes. And I came across a preview in issue 9 of EGM in April 1990. It said that this was a preview of the Japanese version. And it's funny because, you know, this game released in September of 1990. So in April 1990, EGM was like, quote, they said, Konami has indicated they are reviewing the game for a possible release, but the decision has yet to be made. They basically say, like, this has really low chance of ever coming to the U.S., which I find really surprising they wouldn't say that.
I wonder if they knew that Nintendo wanted it to be harder, and they were like, I don't know if we want to even attempt that right now.
It's weird that they just kind of shot down the possibility of it coming to the U.S.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, they reviewed it. So in a few months, they kind of eat their words a little bit. And they reviewed it in issue 15, which was released in October 1990. They gave the scores of 9, 8, 9, and 9, and they loved it, especially the graphics and the sound. The only negatives were how familiar it felt, which is interesting because at this point, you know, Castlevania 1 would have been 2 years old, and then Castlevania 2, which
it would have been at this point 4 years old. Castlevania 1.
Oh, I'm talking about the U.S. release.
Oh, right,
because it would have been 3 years, actually 3 years, from 87 to 90.
Yeah,
and then Castlevania 2, I think, was released 88.
8.
Yeah, so it's interesting that over 2 years, 3 years, they still thought it felt too familiar, which is interesting because I feel like that's a reasonable amount of time for sequels to have a break.
Well, especially when Castlevania 2 has come out, and that was sort of a palate cleanser.
Yeah, it's a totally different game.
Yeah.
You know, it still kind of feels like Castlevania. It's a totally different game as far as how it plays and how you progress.
This one, it really did feel like a return to form, and it's good that they added those little partner characters because this was even more of a similar game than like Mario 3 to Mario 1.
Yeah.
Whereas Mario 2, you know, went off on a tangent. Mario 3 was a return to form, but way better graphics and everything. Whereas this one, like, Trevor and Simon look very similar.
Yeah, this really could, I mean, you could even argue this could have been like a Castlevania 1.5, really.
Yeah.
Like, it's just an upgrade to 1. Of course, it plays better, it looks better, and sounds better, but you could probably, I think you could easily mistake the 2 if you weren't looking too closely.
Yeah.
You know? Nintendo Power also reviewed this in issue 14. Excuse me, no, they had a preview in issue 14. So this is like when Nintendo Power was still really early. This is like when they're doing like, I don't know, I think it was issues every couple months because this is from August, July 1990. So they had like a whole 2-page preview and this awesome poster, and they gave like a little rundown of like the playable characters and the story that was coming down the line. And they also reviewed it in issue 18, December 1990, which had Dr. Mario on the cover. And they had a huge 20-page guide, which was crazy. It basically covered the vast majority of the game. That's like a big chunk of their issues. These issues are not that big back then.
Yeah.
And that had like everything from like strategies, how to unlock certain characters, different paths. I'll post a few screenshots because they had some cool things where they show like sort of like the apprentice path and like the master path, because, you know, it's like different pathways led to more difficult levels, and, you know, you can only get certain characters in certain paths.
Yeah, I've been going at this blind. Like, I've just been going, eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
That's really,
and then I found Grant. I was like, oh, sweet. And then like I went on a different selection, and I just happened to find Sifa. And I haven't found Alucard yet, but
he's in a lower path because I got to him because I was doing the same thing. Like, I didn't have a plan for how I was going to go through the path.
Yeah,
I just ended up going to levels that I kind of knew were there, you know? I was like, oh, Alucard's are that's cool. I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah.
Nintendo Power's review scores here. They gave graphics and sound a 4.2. They gave challenge a 4.1, which I think is awfully low.
Oh, yes.
This game is like a 5.
Yeah.
No way it's below a 5. It's really, really hard. The control, they gave a 4.2.
That, I think, is too high.
I think that is too high because, well, this game, it plays well. It still has the really stiff jumping that is like the signature for Castlevania.
And the stupid ass falling off a ledge when you meant to walk down the stairs.
Oh, yes.
How did they not fix that?
Yeah, and the knockback is brutal.
And Grant, he can climb walls and ceilings, which is clever and awesome. You want to keep him for that. But it also gets kind of janky. Like, he'll do it sometimes when you don't want him to.
Well, everything's just stiff. I think that's really what it is. Like, when we get into the deeper bits of the game, like, that's really what it is. Like, everything's just stiff in this game.
Yeah.
To his detriment. And then on top of that, you got the insane difficulty. It's just, it's not an easy time, no matter how you slice this one.
But also, theme and fun, 4.1 seems low.
Yeah, this one, that one... I could see it at 4.1, but I do think it could be higher because there's a lot of replayability in this game. Yeah. There's more than I'd say most NES games at the time, just alone from the branching paths, And interestingly enough, this issue also reviewed Mega Man 3, and I just thought it was fun to highlight these scores because I thought they were kind of a little off base here. I know you got some words too, Deucy. So for graphics, they gave a 4.5. Challenge, this is for Mega Man 3.
Yeah.
Again, I should say Mega Man 3. Graphics and sound got a 4.5. Challenge got a 4.2. Control got a 4.2. Theme and fun, a 4.
Yeah, that seems all wrong. Like, I would actually score Castlevania 3's graphics higher than the 4.5 that Mega Man 3 got. Because Mega Man 3, I think it's been reported recently, it seems a little unfinished.
Yeah, and it's still very much Mega Man 2.
Yeah.
Like it looks, you could confuse those two, if you didn't know any better.
The challenge, Mega Man 3 is nowhere near harder than
No way.
Castlevania 3.
No way. I could actually finish Mega Man 3 as a kid. I'll tell you that much.
I think the control is a little too low. It can't be the same as Castlevania. It was better.
Oh, yeah. Like the responsiveness for Mega Man 3 would have put that at least one more notch well above Castlevania 3. Like, I love Castlevania 3, but I'm not going to say the control is great.
Yeah.
Like, and the fact that they gave Mega Man 3 a 4.2 just is like,
is the same.
It's the same score. It's like, what? Like, are we playing the same game? Like, what reviewer reviewed this? Did they play Castlevania 3 to get a basis for comparison here, So I thought that was fun because they reviewed quite a few fun NES games. Like, even Dr. Mario got like some middling 3s, which is surprising because I feel like that was like it seems like a pretty big Nintendo party game. It was a cover feature, and
that's like,
I think that's a better game than 3s.
That's like the second biggest puzzle game next to Tetris.
Yeah, right. So I was surprised, and I texted you this too. I thought I always had this perception that Nintendo power seemed to be very favorable towards Nintendo games, and it must have just been really like the N64 era where I got that perception because there's some games that we've talked about in the podcast where they've scored lower than even like EGM and GamePro. I'm like, that's surprising. Like, you guys are more like Star Fox. You guys are bigger hard asses on anything else than any other reviewer. Like, this is your flagship game.
Dr. Mario, they gave it middling, but it was so popular. That's what they formed Tetris 2 into.
Yeah,
was a Dr. Mario clone.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's a funny to read through. I was just surprised that like the scores were just kind of off base for me.
Yeah.
Like there's some weird things like. They're not totally far off, but I think Mega Man 3 is definitely off to what they've scored here. Like, it's pretty surprising. But nonetheless, Castlevania 3, Deuce, I guess we get into the meat and potatoes of the game here. So what did you think on your playthrough this time? And how far did you get? Because I imagine I didn't beat the game. I got to, like I said, level 5 or 6 on the Japanese version, but I'd beaten this years ago with save states, of course, because it's hard as hell.
I've lost track of the stages because of the branching paths. It's not like the first game where you definitely know you beat a boss, you go on to the next stage. This one, you do beat bosses and you pick up the extra characters, but then I've kind of forgotten how many of those I've done. So I know that I just picked up Sifa on accident because I wanted to keep Grant. But so I'm there, and I will say, thank God for save states.
Yeah, I think this game is a lot more approachable and accessible when you have save states because it's available. It's available now on the Castlevania Anniversary Collection, which is a great collection of games because it has all the U.S. versions of the games, but also shortly after it was released in like 2018, they patched in the Japanese versions, except for Simon's Quest. And they patched in like a little ebook too that has like these little sketches and other things that I'll probably post on Instagram as well, showing like some of the sketches and like, storyboarding, stuff like that.
I wish they would patch in like the old Nintendo Power maps that they
I
used.
wish that'd be so freaking awesome.
20 pages of that.
Yeah. But yeah, the save states are definitely welcome in the Anniversary Collection.
I have to try it because I got this like right when it first came out, and then I didn't realize that they had patched in the Japanese. and I want to try those easier versions.
It's a lot different. It was immediately noticeable for me because this game starts off. I love the opening of this game, by the way. Like for just even from the title screen, you have like the scrolling looks like film because you see the I don't know what you'd call them, like when those holes on the side of the film, like where the reel catches, So it has that. So it has like this almost like monster movie aesthetic from the get go. Like it has this really awesome title screen music, and then when you hit start, like Trevor is like cloaked on the ground. It has like this really fanciful freaking fanfare, welcome you to the game, and then all of a sudden like lightning strikes. And then it hits into the opening theme music, and God, I freaking love that music so much. But I noticed right away when you play the Japanese version, like just in terms of, when you first get hit, I'm like, oh, I saw health, like, it didn't take so much, And like,
keep going.
Yeah, you can kind of bully enemies a little bit more, some of the bosses. So I think you'll probably like it more just on that. But, the US version, that's all we had when we were kids. And it was nightmarish as much as I love that game.
And I don't know how we did it back then, because like in this one, I will go just a couple screens and then save again.
You really got to.
A couple more, and every death I have just reloaded. I haven't even said, "Oh, don't worry about it." Like, no, I want to keep my chain upgrade, and I want to keep the amount of hearts I have.
Yeah. So that's the thing is the penalty for getting game over in this game isn't too terrible. It just puts you at a little bit of a disadvantage because you can collect the whip upgrades. I think there's like 3 levels. Like you'll destroy candles or whatever else, lanterns, and he drops like a weapon upgrade. And then when you get 3, it has like an extended reach. I think does more damage. I can't recall. And then also hearts are your ammo here, your currency. So it's like you collect your sub weapons. There's some that are just freaking useless. Some they're really good, like the boomerang cross. That's like the most effective one.
That seems so rare in this version.
It's very rare. Yeah. And then what makes things a little bit easier, but can also be difficult to attain, is the double trouble and triple threat weapons or items. So when you kill, I think it's 10 enemies in a row, you get this little icon, looks like a Roman numeral for 2 and 3. And those items allow you to throw multiple sub-weapons at once on the screen. So like if you get 2, or you could throw 2 sub-weapons at once, which means it's really helpful with the boomerang weapon because you have 2 of those going back and forth.
I used to get those a lot in the first game and never knew what they did until like later on in life.
Me neither. And I was like, what do they do? Like
that makes sense.
Does it make weapons cost less? And it's like, no, I thought more.
I thought it just powered up your whip to like do more damage, or maybe the sub weapons did more damage.
Yeah.
But no, it was like when I found out that you could do multiples after that, I was like, I'm spamming holy water.
yeah. I use the holy water a lot, and then if I do have it, the cross.
Holy water is probably my favorite in this one, more so than the first game. Like I've taken out I don't know how many bosses, just boom, 1 or 2.
It works really well, but it's funny because Castlevania 2, the holy water is broken because you can kill Dracula with just that.
Yep.
Right. That's the kind of funny thing. The holy water, I always love doing that too because it also gives you like a little bit of a barrier in space between enemies. They might be a little dangerous by the time they get you if they don't die.
There was one boss I was fighting in this one in 3 where I don't know if it was supposed to happen this way, but he started out on a higher platform on the left. Then there's a gap with ground, and then there's like a somewhat higher platform, not as high as the first one that he was on. He dropped into the gap between the 2 platforms and then just stayed there.
Oh yeah, I've had that happen before too.
And I was like, okay, here you go, drink some water.
Yeah, it's what. Sometimes you can cheese the bosses when it does work.
Yeah,
and that's when you're like relieved. Because that's the thing, the penalty isn't terrible for dying or getting game over. It's just that, you do lose your item 2 and item 3 when you die, and you do run out of hearts when you get game over. So all that stuff is just, you have to recollect that stuff. So if you have 40, 50 hearts and you feel like you're sitting comfortable, you're probably going to play more defensively in fear of dying. So you don't have to do all that all over again.
But not with save states.
But save states, like if you feel like you want to, you traverse a new room and you feel a little uncomfortable, just go ahead and use the save state. It's fine. No one's going to judge you.
There was a section in the tower. I was climbing up the clock tower to get Grant. I mean, I didn't realize I was getting him, but I was going up there, and there's this one part where there are stairs, and you have to kind of jump over the stairs onto the next platform to go up higher and continue on. I kept walking into the stair pixel and dropping straight and dying.
Yeah.
And I was like, immediate reload. I think I reloaded probably about 8 times. Because for some reason it just wasn't registering my jump, and I would just drop down the stairs. I'm like, Man, I would be so done with this game if it didn't have the saves.
Yeah, I think you have to get into a rhythm of Castlevania because, like this is a well speedrun game, but like you have to get used to the quirks, the sluggishness, and the stiffness of the controls. And once you do, it's like it's tolerable.
Yeah,
but it's not as smooth as you would like it. Because if it was a lot more fluid, a lot more tighter controls, I think you'd be able to get through this game a lot easier. Even though it's still difficult, no matter how you slice it.
This needs a remaster. This needs because Castlevania IV is basically the first one again.
Yeah, it is.
But with Super Nintendo graphics and moves and everything. Please do that for 3.
I would love it. Yeah. And like we mentioned earlier, so you can unlock 3 different characters in here depending on, what path you take. Because that's really what's unique about this game is that at each level, you have like this, I don't want to call it overworld map, but you have a screen where you can choose to go up or down. And each level or each path leads you to a different path through the game. And there's 15 levels in total. And you can kind of mix and match them because some levels might be easier for you than others. Some are more difficult. And ultimately, they'll lead to different characters that you can unlock. And you can only have one partner at a time. And I'll be honest with you, like when I was a kid, I didn't realize you could switch people. Like I didn't realize that until I was way older. But if you hit select, you can, swap to the character you chose to have as a partner. So there's 3 that we mentioned. There's Grant the Nasty, and his gimmick is he moves faster and can climb and stick to walls. And he has like that stubby dagger we talked about. There's Alucard, who's Dracula's son. He has a projectile as like his main weapon that he uses that doesn't use hearts, and he can turn to a bat, which is really freaking cool. He can fly around, but that does use his hearts, so you can only do that for a certain amount of time, and your heart's your fuel. So if you don't have many hearts, you're not going to fly too far.
Can he still use the sub weapons?
No, he cannot. Yeah, only Grant and Trevor can use them. Yeah. And then there's Sifa, who's she's sort of like a mage wizard kind of character. She's really cool. She has different spell types, like one that freezes enemies. There's like a burning one. I think there's like a thunder one that you can get.
That makes sense.
I forgot how it is. Maybe it's just like up, whatever combo of buttons.
The 3 basics back then.
Yeah, exactly. So it's cool because it does add pretty different rights to the levels because you can also use each character to their advantage too because they do control differently. Like I think Sifa and Alucard control better than Trevor. Like they're less stiff, if that makes sense. But not saying like they control Miles better. Like you're gonna, have an easier time with the game. But you definitely feel less stiff.
Grant saved me a few times where I was about to just fall, and he would grab onto the side.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, thank God that's a thing.
I think that's the major plus with this game is like the variety of characters is pretty cool, and they do add a lot because they do play so drastically different from each other.
She, weirdly, like you have to get these books to do those spells, like but she can also pick up another sub weapon. I don't know if she can pick up all the sub weapons, but I picked up the clock at one point, the stopwatch.
Oh, she might be able to use that as a stopwatch.
And I was like, damn it, I don't want this. I wanted those spells.
Nobody wants a stopwatch. I remember, and that's the funny thing is like, modern Metrovanias or like modern Castlevanias, you usually see the sub weapon you picked up and it'll drop your other one. So you go pick it back up like, oh, I didn't mean to do that.
Oh, yeah.
But I forgot that in the earlier games, like, if you accidentally picked it up, oops, that's it. Like you're stuck with that. So you almost have to memorize where the drops are.
I enjoyed in that one I mentioned, the Castlevania 1 that's now a Metroidvania.
Yeah.
They've made the candles and the lanterns different colors if it has a weapon or if it has a heart.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what this needed, but games weren't where they are today, unfortunately. So that's really like the biggest thing in the game. And then this game has a lot of different themes across the levels, like the first level is like your typical village. Like you see, the usual like skeleton monsters. You see mermen jumping up. There's Medusa heads.
Naturally.
Yeah. It's in Transylvania. It all makes sense, There's the clock tower, which is like the iconic Castlevania centerpiece for levels. Like that's usually where you fought death in the later games.
It's nice to see the how they've kept that the same from the very first game.
I really do love it. And the music's right in there too.
Yeah. Like you just look at the silhouette in the background and it's always the same looking castle.
Mm-hmm. Because I guess Dracula doesn't upgrade his castle every 100 years.
No.
He just sleeps for 100 years and comes back with the same old castle. But there's a lot of level writing here. Like each level has a different theme to it. Like I remember even in this playthrough, like I got to one where these owls pop out of the forest. I don't know if you got that in your pathway or not.
Jesus, yeah.
It's really hard, but if you have the cross, it's not so bad.
I did not.
I did not.
I think I found the cross once, and I died without having saved recently.
Oh.
And never got it again. I was like, okay, damn it. But holy water has been my savior, and the axe.
Yeah, the axe, I like to use the axe. I think the only one I don't really like is the stopwatch and maybe the dagger, because the dagger doesn't do much damage.
No.
It's always been like that piddly weapon. Like, that the dagger's been like, well, it's not the time clock, so it's better than nothing.
At least you have something.
Yeah.
I've noticed in this one, at least maybe I haven't picked the right levels, but there's a lot less Medusa heads than
Thank God.
games past.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Because in Castlevania 1, those were the nightmare. Oh my God.
And then again, in like some of the Metroidvanias for like Game Boy and stuff, like they just really love their Medusa heads coming in at the most inopportune times.
Yeah, they come at these sine wave patterns that they're going up and down, and they're pretty fast. And sometimes you can dodge them. Other times, like, in the later games, they have the yellow Medusa heads, which turn you to stone.
Yeah.
So while you're, waggling the D-pad to basically unfreeze yourself, you're getting hit by the other Medusa heads. So it's funny that's become like the joke with Castlevania, like they include it no matter what because they know fans hate it.
Yeah.
Like they die in one hit, but they're still a pain in the ass no matter what. In addition to that, this game has a hard mode.
Wait, the American version?
The American version. So after you beat that, if you manage to beat the hard mode, you unlock alternate staff credits, which is like such a ridiculous, what's the word, like reward for beating this game, because it's already hard enough as it is on normal. And in hard mode, some of the enemies have, I think they call it second quest is what it is. But some of the enemies have more attacks. They do more damage, as if they didn't do enough damage to begin with.
Now it's half your life bar in one
hit. Yeah. So it's like, you're really only playing because you're a masochist at that point. Like I can't see anyone playing second quest for fun, quote unquote.
Are there speed runs of second quest?
There is. I didn't get the totals for those, but we can go in the speedruns pretty soon for sure. The only thing I want to touch on elsewhere, because I guess we could talk more about the rest of the game, because I only got so far in. But there's a couple differences, and I'll get into some cheats. So one of the cheats that they have in here, which is kind of fun, they have a cheat that gives you 10 lives, and it's great because when you start the game, you have to enter your name, and it never gets referenced ever again. It's just like for your file, which it doesn't matter because you have passwords, so it's like your name is just a name. But if you type "help me," you get 10 lives at the beginning. And if you type in a comma, that's how you get the second quest, which is basically the hard mode, where there's more enemies, more damage, and some enemies do different attacks, which is really silly. So if you feel like you could really master Castlevania 3, there's codes to make it even more difficult if you wanted to go that way.
I definitely don't need the 10 lives thing now, because I think I have about 5 or 6.
Oh, there you go.
Because I just save so much and I just refuse to die.
Yeah, and your score just keeps tallying up.
Yeah,
because you get them after every so many points. Yeah,
I've noticed you listed the levels here, and I think for sure I'm on the Haunted Ship of Fools.
Yeah, these names are pretty funny. There's the Murky Marsh of Morbid Morons, which is, I love alliterations. That's a hell of an alliteration. The Haunted Ship of Fools, which I don't think I got to, because I think I got through the Mad Forest, and I was in the Murky Marsh of Morbid Morons, because that's with all the mermen and like the sludge swamp kind of thing.
Say that 3 times fast.
I know. I didn't even want to try. I barely said that 3 times spaced out, for God's sake. And then the other great name, there's that Moat Bride of Peril. I don't know what that is.
Oh yeah.
And the Abandoned Mines, and there's of course like Dracula's Castle, which is its own set of levels.
I like how that's plural, castle levels.
Well, that's what I put.
Yeah.
I just put castle levels because it's like there's like inner castle, outer castle, stuff like
the
that.
Foyer.
I generalize.
We're in the dining room now.
And one other note I will say about the differences between the Japanese and U.S. versions. In the final level, when you die in the Japanese version, I haven't gotten to there yet. This is just what I read with the differences. This also is another testament to how hard the game is. But in the U.S. version, the last level, which is level 8, everything does basically double damage.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, when you get game over at Dracula in the Japanese version, you start outside, basically this throne room kind of thing. The U.S. version starts you back at the second section of the level. And these levels in this game in general are pretty long. Mm-hmm. So that's just cruel, because the whole last level, on the U.S. version is just a gauntlet. It's an endurance. It is hell on earth. It is really hard.
It reminds me of how many types of Dracula, like how many
forms?
Forms, yeah. How many does he have in this?
I think at least I know 2 for sure, maybe 3.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it kind of reminds me of Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah,
where
very much like that.
You have to run the gauntlet of the final boss, and if you don't, you're kicked back to like the start of the last level.
Yes, it's exactly like that. And again, it's like, I firmly believe that Nintendo probably told them, hey, like ramp this up because we're combating rentals, whatever, when a lawsuit with them. I don't know when that lawsuit happened. I assume this was just all around the same time.
Yeah.
It's just like, why would you do that in the last level, for God's sake? Like, this game is already hard. And, I love this game, but I have to be critical of how hard it is, because it's not easy for anyone to get into. It's like really, if you didn't have save states, it's hard to recommend this to anyone because they would get sick out the first few levels. Like, it's not like any of the pathways are that much easier than the other. You know, like you can take whatever path you want. Even there's the Nintendo Power one that you recommend, like they say it's an apprentice one. It's still hard. This game is still hard no matter how you slice it.
I guess the upside is if we were playing it on the cart back then, because of those different paths, at least the game seemed varied.
It definitely was for sure.
Even if you didn't get very far.
Yeah, I do remember playing through a lot of those because there was definitely a point where, you know, you get stuck and you're like, all right, well, I'll try different paths.
Yeah.
Oh, I got stuck again. You know?
Like I was thinking back to when we were talking about the Jetsons last week and how I always got to the same level no matter when I played it or how often, and I could not get past that one spot. And at least in this one, I may have seen 2 different spots that I got stuck at.
Yeah, I think overall, and I guess we start going into the final thoughts. And you know what? I'll get the speedruns, then we'll get into some final thoughts because I forgot some speedruns on here because they're kind of fun because to me, I'm just gonna say this is probably this is one of the most difficult NES games in the system. I don't know if there's many others that are difficult. Like I put Silver Surfer up there with this.
The Ninja Gaidens.
There's a lot of games that you could say are the most difficult, and I'd say Castlevania 3 belongs up there. But at the same time, like those games, you can still love them and adore them. It's just they're really difficult.
They have the benefit of just being good.
Yeah.
Like you want to play, even if you're playing the same 1 or 2 levels over and over, at least those were good levels. And you didn't mind it, especially when we were kids back then. That might have been all we had.
Yeah, that's really what it was. Because I had this and Top Gun and Mario Brothers, right? Like I probably had a handful of games.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are my options? Well, I guess I'll suffer through Castlevania 3 and try to beat Dracula.
It would be a different story if like the games were just terrible to look at or had terrible sound, and you were stuck at 1 or 2 levels.
Yeah, that's when you just return it to your rental store and be like, "Yep, this is why it's a rental." All right, Deucy, so let's get into some speed runs here because these are really impressive no matter how you slice it. So for any percent, which typically just means get through the game whatever way you can, whether it's using glitches, warps, optimized pathways.
Do they have glitches? Like,
I'm not sure. I don't think there's anything drastically game-breaking. I think it's just, they used a lot of damage boosts like to get to certain platforms, stuff like that, But JC did it in 14 minutes and 49 seconds.
The whole game.
The whole game. That's any percent. So you could use Trevor in any configuration of partners or whatever. Because there's also subcategories where I'll name these, but there's one that's just Trevor, or there's one with like Alucard, just with Grant, Sifa, and Trevor. So the record for your buddy being Alucard is with Level Engine. They did it in 25 minutes 42 seconds. This is with partner Grant by JC. They did it in 29 minutes 50 seconds. And then there's with Sifa by Level Engine, 28 minutes, 9 seconds. And then with Trevor only, a speedrunner named Freeland did it in 28 minutes, 39 seconds. So all these runs under half an hour, which to me is mind-blowing because I feel like I would get through, on the U.S. version, I'd probably get to like level 2 after half an hour, depending on things. Maybe level 3, depending on how things shake up.
I'm trying to remember if I played this while I was watching like a sitcom, and that's a good judge of.
Oh yeah, it's a nice time.
Those are like 22 to 25 minutes.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure I did not beat the game in one sitcom episode.
These are the speedruns like when it doesn't happen on HGDQ too often anymore, but when they do have Castlevania speedruns, I love watching them because I love the series so much. Just in general, like Castlevania is just one of my tops ever. But watching the early games be speedrun is usually a real treat because. There's no way I could get to the point these people are. They are just absolutely insane getting through these games in like 20 minutes.
If they're not using crazy glitches like some of the Mega Man games have, the amount of confidence they just have running through the game where they don't even flinch when an enemy comes on screen because they know the movement pattern and they know where they're at and they've probably done the math and the timing. Like, I want that level of confidence, and then I could probably get through at least a level.
Yeah, they're really like Neo in the Matrix.
Yeah,
where they know exactly where patterns are coming. They know down to the RNG, the chances of something happening or an item dropping. It's really amazing to watch. I'd say like if you're not gonna play Castlevania 3, just go check out like a speedrun. Just go YouTube, Castlevania 3 speedrun GDQ or something. And just love, you can experience the game that way in a sense.
Yeah.
Because you can watch them play through it. It's also just impressive because they play through it like they still get damaged and whatever, but they play through it so confidently and so easily. It's just, they make it look like it's a cakewalk, and this game is absolutely not a cakewalk. So I feel like I had to talk about speedruns just to showcase how insane it could be. And like, it is beatable. You just have to play it for like thousands of hours like these people have, you know?
I was just thinking about like, we talked about the Goof Troop speedrun last week. It was only 20 minutes. And I'm just thinking back to all these games that we played as kids, and we're like, how did we spend this much time on?
I always wonder
on them. Like, was time just warped differently for us, or were we really spending hours and hours on certain things?
That's what it feels like, because even you and I will talk about, like, there's things I forget, like when we couldn't decide what to play at your house or in my house. Like, we would put games face down and shuffle them.
Yeah.
And choose a cartridge. And it's like, we usually only hung out for like 4 or 5 hours when we were kids, because it's like our parents would pick us up after work or whatever the case was.
Yeah.
So it always felt like we were playing certain games forever, like hours upon hours. And then you're right, like when I see games like Turtles in Time, like I mentioned in I think it was last week in our cartoon episode, you could beat that 25 minutes these days, no problem. Like, it's not even that difficult. But back then, it felt like I was playing that game for hours, hours, even co-op. So it's interesting that like these games felt like they're a lot longer, but also could be like, we died so much, this is the only game we had. So of course it felt like we put hundreds, if not thousands of hours in them,
And thinking about like Shredder's Revenge, when we played that recently with all our friends, it was like a 4 or 5 player co-op, and that took a couple hours. Mm-hmm. And that's how the old games used to feel. Yeah. But now, like, that game has, like, what, 16?
I think it's 16 levels.
16 levels were required to get that amount of time.
And levels are all, 5-10 minutes each, depending on the level and the length and everything. So, yeah, it's funny. It's like, Shredder's Revenge feels like it feels like what old games felt like as far as length. But the old games are not that long. No. Castlevania 3 is that long, though, because you're going to die over and over and over.
You can't convince me these speedruns are real.
Yeah. All right, Deucy. So, final thoughts on Castlevania 3. I know, because I already forgot, but is this the first time you'd played it since back then, or was it really ever that you could recall?
No, it's the first time I've put any real time into it.
Real time, yeah.
When I got the collection, I definitely touched on it, and but I also didn't realize about the partner system and all that, and I didn't get very much past like maybe level 2, 1.5. So I do really enjoy this, and I want to put more time into it, and I probably won't ever beat it, but I do want to definitely play the Japanese version, and I do want to see just how far I can get, even with the save states, like over and over and over again.
I think the save states, again, like that's really what makes the game so much more accessible. Is just that you have that sort of safety net.
I'll get to Dracula, and then like I'll save after every hit if I have to. Yeah, I'm not ashamed.
You actually save over, so it's like, oh no, you get damaged and killed instantly. Yeah, I love this game, obviously, and I love Castlevania. And actually, I was just thinking now, like, it'd be kind of fun if someday later in the line we do like a Castlevania ranker, like we do with Mega Man.
Oh yeah,
because I feel like we could cover any of the Castlevanias. There's so much as far as trilogies, and of course the later ones get amazing. Like, there's the NES trilogy, which they're great in their own right, but they're definitely dated. And then I would say the 16-bit ones age really well, like Super Castlevania 4 and Bloodlines. But, for Castlevania 3 and my personal gaming life when I was a kid, like, this was it. This was like my favorite game back then. It's still my favorite Nintendo game just because of all the memories I have with it. The music is still incredible. Of course, the biggest detriment to this game and the biggest negative is how difficult it is. But beyond this, after this, like, it's all uphill, or it's all not uphill when I say that's bad.
Downhill?
As far as uphill difficulty, yeah. I'm saying after this, like, it's all just, they're all great games for the most part. Like, they really didn't stumble, because these were still rocky NES games, and Castlevania just got bigger and better after this,
It's weird that, like, they never went back to these types after Metroidvanias were introduced, like after Symphony of the Night. Except for maybe like the 3D versions were a little more linear.
Well, they did a couple. So they did 2 that were sort of like, I guess we'll call them remakes, kind of. But there was a Castlevania Rebirth on the Wii. That was a WiiWare game, which means it's gone. It doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. Yeah. They also did Contra Rebirth, and there's another one. And there was also Castlevania Chronicles on the PS1, but that's also like, I think that's sort of like a remake of an older one or something like that. But yeah, as far as like full game, I don't think they've really done it since that Castlevania Rebirth one. That's really just a remake. They haven't done like a new, fresh Castlevania game like this.
And in fact, they're going the opposite direction. Like I said, Castlevania Revamped is now a Metroidvania instead of a side scroller.
Yeah, it's crazy how it's crazy how this game or this series now Granted, it's been stagnant because Konami hasn't touched this in a long time.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. It's not, you look at the original trilogy and now it's like, it's a Metroidvania. Like it's totally different. Like they've done that for Game Boy Advance, DS, the 3D ones on PS2. So Castlevania, what we know now is not Castlevania what we knew then.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, these 3 games, and especially 3 for me, 3 is like the pinnacle of the original trilogy, obviously, because it's like the newest and the biggest and best.
This one, like when we decided to do this for an episode, combined with that revamped viewing, has really gotten me back into like a Castlevania swing of things. So yeah. I do want to play more Portrait of Ruin. I just picked up that one on PS2, Lament of Innocence, I think is.
Yeah, Lament of Innocence. Yeah.
I just picked that one up, and I also picked up that other one on DS. So I'll also be getting back into the collections, the advanced collection, and all that. Like, I'm ready for a whole bunch of Castlevanias nonstop.
I'll be excited to hear your side because, like, I know you've played some of them, but I know you weren't into them like I was because I was buying them like on release. Like,
I really enjoyed Aria of Sorrow and Dawn of Sorrow.
I loved Aria of Sorrow. It's so good.
Those were like their own little twofer sequels, and other than that, though, I didn't get too much into the ones, even though I really enjoy Metroidvania type games. I mean, look at me in Metroid.
I know. That's why I'm surprised that the later ones didn't catch you as much. Because I knew, like, obviously knew you played Aria of Sorrow a lot and Dawn of Sorrow, and you probably borrowed some from me as well. That's why I was always surprised you didn't get into these as much because you were so big on Super Metroid.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about it, and I don't know what keeps stopping me in Symphony of the Night, but like
that game can get pretty hard though if you don't know. It's still a 1997 game, and it can be pretty hard if you're not sure what to do because, like, I can get through that game pretty easily now because I know where everything is. And also, like, I break the game because I get that shield rod combo where you do, like, 256 damage per frame. So it kills the final boss in seconds.
Jesus.
Yeah, so you have to do a little bit of work to get that, but it's worth it. You'll kill the last boss instantly.
I was just thinking, like, I know Super Metroid so well that it's basically linear to me.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, Symphony of the Night really feels like a Metroidvania where all of a sudden I'm at 3 different dead ends and I don't know where to go.
Yeah, that one it was big for that because I didn't finish that for a long time growing up, but now I can get through it pretty easily. Like, it's not quite your level of Super Metroid. I think if I did it twice in a row, I could, like, to refamiliarize myself because I haven't beaten it since I guess it's been like 4 years since that collection came out now, 4 or 5 years. But I could still get through it pretty easily. I just have to remind myself where certain things are and what glitches can work and what don't. But yeah, Symphony of the Night, like, Dracula's Curse is like my number 1 NES game, but Symphony of the Night's like one of my favorite games of all time. That's like top 5.
Yeah,
right, there's nestled in there. So I'll be excited to cover more Castlevania. And if anyone out there wants to tell us about their favorite Castlevania games or your memories for Castlevania 3 and how hellacious it was for you, please reach out. Let us know on our email. We're at legiongamingpod@gmail.com. And we're also on Instagram posting tons of cool stuff, videos, articles, my collection, Deucy's collection, stuff like that at Legion Gaming Podcast. Deucy, any final words for our friends going back in Transylvania?
See you in another 100 years.